So when you look at the original Java, you look at the Java 350 now, and you look at the original Javas that they reference it, cynically, you could say shamelessly. But if you were a slightly more romantic, then you would say faithfully. Whichever side you fall on, it works. These are good looking proportionate motorcycles, if for nothing else because somebody back in the day worked the proportions out, got it to a great place, and classic legends say, hey, why mess with something that's not broken? Let's do this in our way with whatever we need for 2024's emission norms, engineering requirement, role specification, all that. And to me, the Gold Star goes roughly into the same place as well. It also causes some problems. Okay, for example, on our bike, you take the left side panel off, and then you pull the hook and the seat comes off. But that panel doesn't lock into place. It's just 3 rubber grommets holding it together. So 2 things happen. One, somebody in the office immediately asks saying, hang on a minute, so if I park it in a parking lot, in theory, somebody could just open my seat if they felt like it.
Oh, it doesn't have a key lock on it. Oh.
And if they did, then the first thing they'll see is the battery, which is 2 screws to remove and take home. So in theory, there's a problem here. Is this a problem in the United Kingdom? Absolutely not. Is it a problem in India?
No, that's a flaw in your argument. In United Kingdom, they just come steal your bike from under
and leave
you.
the battery for you because it's easy to do that now.
It's a little different.
Yeah. So, and then what happened further is that as we rode this, within those 200 kilometers, the rubber stopper for the grommet basically sheared off. So by the end, the panel was hanging loose. Right? The top, luckily the upper corner was hanging loose, so it didn't actually go anywhere, and my boot is next to it, so it's not like it's going to fly off. And the last motorcycles that this used to happen to, historically, were the old Royal Enfields, which used to vibrate a lot, where the vibration would loosen parts. So in somehow, history, legacy, in some ways not. Okay, I'm making a joke. But the point is, this hasn't happened to us in a while, and if I remember correctly, Rishad's story on Autocar also pointed out that the exact same grommet also became loose on their bike in the process of testing.
Okay.
Right, so despite this bike being on sale in the UK for 2 years, clearly their bad roads are not as bad as our bad roads, and it's obviously shaking this bike to pieces in new ways, which BSA now should be able to recognize, work on, and fix. Okay, to me, this is the full picture of the motorcycle. I think it's a good motorcycle. Now, we can also talk about this motorcycle from the point of view of a single bike garage, where this is the only thing you own. Okay. In the city, this is a hot motorcycle. You're going to feel it on your legs. There's no way to avoid it. Second, the exhaust will discolor because it's a single walled exhaust. So as it gets hot, the chrome will turn yellow. And in our studio footage, you can already see this bike has 1,000-something kilometers and it's already turning yellow. Worse, this bike has burn marks behind the rider's foot peg from somebody putting their feet down. It's coming too close to the exhaust. The textile pant or whatever they were burning, it burnt and stuck to the exhaust, and it's very hard to take off. There is no heat shield there. There is some murmur about a heat shield for that area being considered to be on sale as an accessory. But as of now, the hot exhaust is right next to your pant. If you put your feet too close, you're going to burn it.
This accessory isn't from the company?
From the company.
Then I wouldn't wait for it for too long.
Yeah. Okay. And Classic Legends doesn't have a great reputation on this front. It's something that they are actively working on, but at the moment, they don't have a great reputation. We'll see what happens. Okay. Next, out on the highway, performance is very gentle. And it's nice. You'll have 2 problems with it. The rear suspension is really, really terrible, and the seat doesn't work.
Terrible which way?
I'll tell you. The seat is easy to fix. Go to a seat guy, ask for better foam. It's not expensive. It doesn't take long. You'll get an easy fix. The suspension, it's underdamped, and I think the rebound's wrong. So you're just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. The front is okay. The rear is not. If the road is smooth, you'll be okay. But when the road gets bad, the rear of this motorcycle will keep bouncing you. And it's very uncharacteristic because the rest of the motorcycle is pretty smooth. If I were Classic Legends and I had to say, emergency, we need to fix one thing on the BSA, I tell you, you need a heck of a lot better rear suspension. And don't take my word for it. All the British owners are saying the same thing. Luckily for the British owners, there are companies like Hagon, which name I first encountered when I was researching RD350s back in the late 90s, who are specialists at making twin shock setups. Okay. And Hagon already has BSA setups.
Where are they from? Hagon?
UK company. And there are 3 other names that the owners mention as the regular replacements for the stock suspension. Okay, brakes are good. Handling is nice, clean, trustworthy. Tires are good. It's reasonably comfortable to sit on. There is some amount of heat you're going to have to deal with. Riding position's fine. You can read the meters, which is unusual for a Classic Legends product.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the meters go backwards, so it takes a moment of adjustment because they're like the old meters.
But you can actually read it.
Yeah, but you can actually read it. I think that's awesome.
Step forward.
There are 2 small digital LCD screens in there. Those you cannot read, and those I would say are part of the Classic Legends legacy, not the BSA legacy.
When you were describing the engine crankcase thing, I automatically went to the Java instrument cluster with that cardboard paperback thingy. It's just like felt flimsy and
Yeah, so on this, you've got 2 little digital displays. On this side is the trip meter and everything. On this side is the fuel gauge, and they work about half the time. Because half the time there is daylight, and in the daylight you can't see those.
sorry, is it because you can't see them or they're not working?
No, you can't see them in the daylight, so it doesn't matter if they're working or not. If you really enjoyed this clip, there's not much that you can do because it's over, but this clip is from a much longer video which plays on our main channel, which is called Motoring. I invite you now to visit there and explore this idea in more detail, and there you'll meet another amazing motoring personality, my great friend Karthikeya Singhi, the one and only.